Today we are going to answer a practical question. Why can the same public information produce three very different intelligence products? Imagine that we are checking a company. An executive wants to know whether a partnership makes sense over the next year. The investigation lead wants a 2-week plan. The analyst at the keyboard wants to know which account or document to verify today. The company is the same, and some of the sources may be the same, but the required answer is different. Strategic, operational, and tactical intelligence are simply ways to keep the user, the time horizon, and the decision aligned. Start by stretching the timeline. The executive asks, should we work with this company over the next year? That is a direction and risk tolerance question. The investigation lead asks, what can the team realistically verify in 2 weeks, and how should the work be divided? That is an operational question. The investigator asks, which account, notice, or archive page should I check first today? That is tactical. Do not classify the level by tool difficulty. A technically difficult reverse image search may still be one tactical task. A short sentence such as, should we enter this market, can be a strategic question because the decision is broad and hard to reverse. Strategic intelligence looks beyond today's headline. It asks whether a risk is accumulating, whether an opportunity window is opening or closing, and whether a major choice will be difficult to reverse. Suppose a business is considering a new overseas market. One policy announcement is not enough. We would need to combine policy direction, demand, regulation, competitors, supply chain stability, and perhaps several years of corporate behavior. The final product should not be a list of links. It should explain which direction the evidence currently supports, what scenarios could change the judgment, and what important information is still missing. That is what makes the product useful to a decision maker. Here is a common level mistake. A company posts one vacancy for an AI engineer, and someone writes, the company is pivoting to artificial intelligence. The claim has moved much further than the evidence. The vacancy proves that one hiring action occurred. It might support a pilot, a client project, or a temporary experiment. A strategic pivot would need a pattern: sustained hiring, executive statements, product releases, capital spending, and organizational changes that point in the same direction over time. Even when that pattern becomes stronger, the wording should remain proportional. Public evidence increasingly supports an active pivot is defensible. The pivot is confirmed may still be too strong. Once a strategic need is clear, someone has to turn it into work that a team can actually complete. That is the operational level. Assess partnership risk is not yet a plan. The lead must define the entities in scope, the risk categories, the priority sources, the owners, and the deadlines. The team also needs stopping rules and escalation rules. For example, a routine contract dispute may be recorded and monitored. A major regulatory penalty, an identity mismatch, or several enforcement actions against senior managers may require immediate legal or compliance review. Operational intelligence creates the structure that keeps several investigators working toward one decision. If we have 2 weeks for a company check, opening a dozen tools on day 1 is usually a bad start. First, confirm the legal entity, registration number, ownership, address, and official domains. That prevents a same-name company from contaminating the case. Next, scan litigation, penalties, announcements, hiring, customers, and supply chain signals. Finally, place anomalies on a timeline, look for independent support, and search for counter-evidence. Suppose hiring falls while project delay notices appear. The operational response is not to declare a crisis. It is to assign follow-up work. Compare historical hiring, identify the affected business line, check customer notices, and look for financial context. The plan determines how clues become verified findings. Tactical intelligence is closest to the analyst's hands. It defines a specific object, a specific action, and a result that can be checked. A tactical task might be: verify this executive account, download the original penalty decision, inspect archived pages from a defined month, or locate an independent source for a screenshot claim. I checked it is not a useful result. The analyst should leave the source URL, capture time, saved file, finding, negative result, and suggested next step. Tactical work produces evidence building blocks. It does not automatically produce a strategic conclusion. Suppose someone sends us a social account and says it belongs to a company executive. Avatar similarity and a matching username are not enough. Record what the account claims, name, role, and employer. Then compare it with the company website, appointment announcements, interviews, web archives, and links from other official accounts. Does the account predate the appointment? Does it post events that can be independently verified? Is there any public connection from an official channel? The output should sound like this. Multiple public indicators are consistent with the executive's identity, so the account is likely authentic. However, there is no official platform verification. That sentence is useful because it tells the reader both the judgment and its boundary. The easiest way to see the difference between the levels is to compare the deliverables. Strategic work gives the reader trends, scenarios, major risks, and decision conditions. Operational work gives the team scope, priorities, ownership, milestones, and escalation gates. Tactical work gives the next analyst clues, evidence, records, completion status, and next actions. If executives ask about long-term partnership risk and receive a wall of screenshots, the team has not answered the question. If an investigator needs today's assignment and receives only "be alert to risk," there is nothing to execute. The product has to match the level. These levels are not isolated boxes. Evidence moves upward, and requirements move downward. A hiring change begins as a tactical clue. Operational analysis asks how long it has continued, how many roles are affected, whether one business line is involved, and whether other sources support it. Strategic analysis then combines that pattern with investment, products, organization, and market behavior. The reverse flow starts with a strategic question such as, is the company changing direction? Operational planning turns it into research modules, and tactical work turns those modules into pages, records, and accounts to check today. Upward movement requires evidence upgrade. Downward movement requires task breakdown. Many serious OSINT errors are not invented from nothing. They happen when a small clue is made too large. One vacancy becomes a strategic pivot. An investigation plan becomes a final risk conclusion. A failed search becomes the record does not exist. A manager's preference for the deal slowly becomes the evidence shows the risk is acceptable. When the writing starts to drift, ask 3 questions. What level am I writing at? How far does the evidence actually support the statement? Have I made the limits visible to the reader? Those questions stop a surprising number of weak conclusions. Let us break down, can we trust this company? At the strategic level, the question becomes, does a 1-year partnership fit our risk tolerance, and what conditions would change the decision? At the operational level, which entities, risk categories, and key sources must be checked during the next 2 weeks? At the tactical level, today's work might be confirming the legal entity, downloading a penalty notice, checking an executive account, and saving historical hiring pages. Evidence IDs and one shared timeline connect the work. This is not the same question with 3 labels. It is a chain that links decision, coordination, and execution. Use this 3-level table at the start of an investigation. For each row, record the level, the user, and the decision to support. Then add the core question, time range, evidence needs, and the threshold for a usable judgment. Finish with the deliverable, owner, deadline, and current limitations. If a tactical row says verify the executive account, it should trace to an operational workstream such as key person background review, and then to a strategic concern such as management stability. If it cannot trace back, the task may be interesting, but it may not be necessary. An investigation does not freeze at the first judgment. Suppose our initial recommendation is to monitor a company, and a regulator later publishes a major final penalty. That evidence cannot simply be added to an appendix. It may raise the operational priority and move the strategic recommendation from monitor to pause the partnership. A weak update changes only the final sentence. A professional update also revisits confidence, scope, resources, and timing. Do we still have the same level of confidence? Should the inquiry expand to related entities? Do legal or compliance specialists need to join? Does the decision maker need an earlier briefing? This is why escalation triggers should be written before the evidence arrives. Sustained hiring contraction, a confirmed major penalty, or public loss of a key customer might each trigger a named owner and a fixed review deadline. Keep monitoring without an owner or date is usually just an unassigned hope. Keep the previous judgment as well. Record what we believed, what changed, why the new evidence matters, and when the next review will happen. A reader can then follow the evolution of the assessment instead of seeing two unexplained conclusions.
For the exercise, choose a common question and write one strategic, one operational, and one tactical version. Make sure they differ in user, time horizon, and deliverable, not just wording. Then choose one public clue, perhaps a vacancy, lawsuit, or social account. Decide which level it can currently support. What additional time range, independent source, or related evidence would be needed before the clue could move upward? The habit from this lesson is simple. Define the level before collecting and judging. In the next lesson, we will look at a harder problem. Major intelligence failures often happen even when information exists. The failure lies in interpretation, sharing, challenge, or action.